Hi, I'm author Bailey Thomas, and if you're a reader, writer, reviewer, content creator, or part of the book community, you're in the right place. And if you're none of these, you're still in the right place, because this YouTube channel is for everyone. I'm just trying to make the world a better place, one book, story, or YouTube video at a time. So whether you're here to learn how to write a book, celebrate books, or just to have fun, I'm glad you're here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about self-publishing, indie publishing versus traditional publishing. Which route is better for you? And you may have clicked on this video because you're thinking about becoming an author and you want to know which route is better, to self-publish or to traditionally publish, or maybe you're just curious about why I chose to publish by myself. So we'll go through the pros and cons of each, and then at the end of this video I will answer the question of, would I ever become traditionally published? So let's dive in, guys. And again, if you are starting your writing journey and you've already decided before you even watch this video that you're going to be self-published, I do have some self-publishing guides on my website. You can check these out. This free checklist is totally free, so you can even get started. No cost to you. You can just go to my website, check it out, and you can see the exact steps that I use to self-publish. And if you really like the steps, you can also get the paid guide, or you can just supplement these YouTube videos. I have 7 steps to self-publishing, a whole little playlist on YouTube right here, so you can grab the guide, free or paid, and then go through the YouTube videos. And if you're already way ahead of the game, I also have a marketing guide on there too. 100 sales in 100 days, the exact steps I use to sell 100 signed copies in about 3 months. I think that's 100 days. Yeah. So you can go to my website, grab one of those, grab a snag, get comfortable, because we are going into self-publishing versus traditionally publishing. So the first and probably the number one reason why people would go self-publishing route is the control, which I'd probably say I'm a little bit of a control freak. So when it came down to the decision of self-publishing or traditionally publishing, I already knew what I wanted to do, probably because of the control part. But yes, you get more control when you self-publish, which probably is self-explanatory, but I'll dive into it. You get more control over your cover, who you work with, your editing, your pricing, your brand. So you definitely get a lot more control when you publish yourself, which that might be a con in some people's eyes. Maybe you don't want all that control and all that decision making, but it's one of the reasons why I went the indie route, because I like to have control and a lot of say in what I do and how my covers look and how it's edited, and I get all the rights. So that is probably one of the number one reasons why I went self-publishing and is a pro in my mind. Another reason would be higher royalties. So it's just me on my website. I get the royalties. I do pay for like website credit card fees. But other than that, it's just me. I'm also on Amazon, so I split a little bit with Amazon, but then it's just Amazon and me. Same with TikTok. Pay TikTok a little bit, but then it's TikTok and me. I don't have a publisher. I don't have anyone else that would take my royalties. So you do get higher royalty percentages, but that doesn't necessarily mean more money. So keep that in mind. I do get to take home a higher percent, but we'll get into the cons a little bit about why that might not be the best, or maybe because it's a pro in the traditional publishing. But high royalty percentages, that sounds like music to your ears. It sounds like music to my ears. It was a good pro of being self-published. I do like that. I do like controlling my price and seeing how much royalties I would get off that. So a little pro there for those of you who are thinking about self-publishing. It's definitely a good perk. A next one, for those of you who maybe have a full-time job on the side like me, you get more control over your timeline. There's no publisher emailing me, texting me, calling me, anything like your deadline is coming up. I set my own deadlines, which I might be even harder on myself than a publisher. But I try to put a book out a year, and that's my timeline. But maybe traditionally publishing, they'd want a certain deadline, or maybe more books per year. But for me, I just try to do 1 book per year, but I get to set that. So if something happens, I can't do a book a year, life happens, it's okay. I didn't sign any contracts with any publishing company. I don't have to put a book out that year. So I do like that freedom, that flexibility of being able to push out books when I want to. So it's really cool. I really like that. Again, maybe a con for those of you who are like, I need someone to give me guidelines. But for me, I like being able to publish when I want to publish. The next pro, I would say, And I haven't traditionally published. So for you traditionally published out there, if you want to comment anything I missed, go for it. But one of the things I like about being a self-published author is that I'm really close to my readers. I've had readers order off my website and accidentally put in the wrong address and then just easily be able to DM me on Instagram and say, hey, I accidentally put my wrong address. Can you fix it? Absolutely. I'm right here with you. I'm with the readers. You can absolutely DM me. Tell me your thoughts about my book. You messed up on your address. Perfectly fine. I've also had someone accidentally order two of the same book instead of the first book and the second book in the series. And they just easily get to message me and say, hey, can you update my order? I'm like, sure. You don't even need to cancel it and reorder because it's my website. I own it all. I'm right connected with my readers, my audience. You can easily just message me and say, can you help me with my order? And I don't have any customer service person that has to ask me, is it okay? Like, you can talk to me directly. So I do like that aspect of being self-published, but maybe that happens with traditionally published authors too, but it's just something I noticed as a small self-published author that I get to kind of talk to my audience directly, and I love that. And I could just keep going on and on about all the pros of being a self-published author, maybe a little biased because I am one. But I'd say the last pro is I can change my strategy pretty quickly. So I can write a different genre if I want to. I can write young adult and then new adult and then 18 and plus. I can just do whatever I pretty much want to do. So I think the biggest pros of being a self-published author is control, flexibility, and higher royalties. So if that sounds really good to you and you're already sold about being a self-published author and you don't even want to continue in this video, that's awesome. But I'm about to get into the cons of being a self-published author too. So before you're already sold on your decision, make sure you listen to these cons as well. Okay, you're already questioning what are the cons of self-publishing? Those pros sounded amazing. There's no way there are any negative side to self-publishing. Here to burst your bubble a little bit, there are definitely some negatives. The first one being the upfront costs. Yep, you're paying for your cover, you're paying for your editing, you're paying for this service, and you're paying for this subscription, and everything you do comes from your wallet. There's nobody, no publisher that's stepping in and paying these fees for you. So I will do a video of how much it actually costs me to publish a book. So maybe keep that in mind in the future to see if it's actually an investment that's worth it for you. But for now, I'll just tell you that one of the cons of being a self-published author is all the things you have to pay for yourself. So definitely can put a little financial strain on you. So keep that in mind. Again, I'll do a video in the future about how much it costs me to publish a book and maybe some shortcuts about how you can make it cheaper or maybe areas you don't want to shortcut on. So just keep that in mind. One of the cons of being a self-published author is all the fees that you have to pay. Another con, I know, there's another one. You thought that was the only one, there's another one. One of the biggest ones actually is all the marketing is done yourself. Yes, nobody's helping me with this YouTube video right now. All my Instagram, my TikTok posts, that's me. I schedule them, I make them, I reply to the comments, I look at the likes, the views. I make my marketing strategy. It is all me. Nobody is helping me get my book out there, which is very hard. If I could have help in any area of being a self-published author, it would be the marketing because it is so hard. So I actually do have an influencer program. You can check it out in my link tree. I'll put it in the description. And if you're on TikTok and you're on their TikTok affiliate program, I also put my books on there. So if you want to help me market, because I don't have a publishing company, I'd really appreciate it. But it's just one of the cons of being an indie author. It's just really hard to get your book out there. I don't have the power that these traditionally published authors have. So keep that in mind. If you like marketing, maybe this is not a con and you really want to market, which is great. I do not have that interest. It is very hard. I love doing YouTube videos, but I feel like I'm helping you guys. So I don't know, marketing can be really hard. So just keep that in mind as one of the cons of being a self-published author. Another one I'd have to say is less industry recognition, which probably goes hand in hand with marketing. There's a lot of popularity that comes from traditionally published books. They go viral on TikTok. You have these big publishing companies pushing it or setting up interviews, putting them in blogs, magazines. And I just don't have that right now. I do small interviews here and there. I have a Substack. If you guys use that, I put blogs on there sometimes. But other than that, I just don't have the capabilities of a traditionally published author to market my books, get myself in interviews and blogs and podcasts. So again, maybe another con, but if you don't like public speaking, maybe it's a pro for you. And last con I'll give you guys, write this down, it can be very overwhelming sometimes. And I think that has to do with the fact that you are doing everything yourself. I'm packing orders. I'm buying the materials to pack the orders. I'm ordering the books. I'm writing the books. I'm editing the books. I'm marketing. Everything is myself. So sometimes it can get very overwhelming. And sometimes I'm tempted to just be like, can a publisher help me, please? I cannot do this self-publish anymore because it's so hard and so overwhelming, and I don't have any help. So those would be the cons, I'd say, to indie authors, self-publishing. Those kind of terms go hand in hand. So review the pros. If I just killed your vibe of being an indie author, review the pros again, review the cons. But now I'm going to go on the pros and cons of traditionally publishing your book. And again, this part will be all based on research because I have never traditionally published before. So again, if you have, feel free to comment if I got anything wrong or if you want to emphasize any of the points. These are all from research. So let's dive into the pros and cons of traditionally publishing. Okay, one pro that came up first about being a traditionally published author is basically all the help you get. Someone is helping you market, somebody is helping you edit, you have a teammate. So if you want a teammate, if you want to look down the traditionally published route, that would be a major pro of it. And again, you traditionally published authors, comment below, tell me what it's like to be a traditionally published author. Maybe you're both. Tell me the pros and cons that you've experienced. But one of the biggest pros that I've noticed about being traditionally published is that you kind of have a team behind you, which would be very helpful for me at times. The next pro, which is basically was the con of being an indie author, is the upfront costs. It can be a very financial strain to pay for everything myself. So maybe going down the traditionally published route, if those upfront costs just don't make sense to you, would be a pro of going the traditional route. So very curious to you traditionally published authors out there, how you feel about that and how you guys got to that decision. But just doing a little research on that route, that was a major pro. The next would be all the distribution and credibility you get by having a credible publisher behind you and putting your book in places where the audience is and they're maybe already familiar with that publishing company, so they trust them already. So when they release your book, then they already trust it and are more likely to read it. And again, traditionally published authors may have an easier time getting in interviews and meet and greets and in bookstores because they're backed by a credible publishing company. So it actually sounds really nice, and I would love to have that. But again, the control freak in me needs to do it all myself. So I would say the last pro for this route, from just what I've researched, is a potential advance payment. If someone advance paid me for my book, I feel that that would be very motivating for me to finish it. So the money, especially initially, might be better traditionally publishing because they could give you an advance payment. They could get your books into more hands, which might lead to more funds as well. So think about that. Traditional authors, comment below. But from what I've researched, those were the biggest pros about going the traditional route. So if I was not such a control freak and I needed a team behind me, I'm just so new to this, I want a team and I want help, I would definitely go this route. But again, to every pro, there's a con. So one of the cons that came up the most for the traditional route is, yes, you share the help and the work, but then that means you also share the royalties. So lower royalty percentage, which again, that doesn't necessarily mean less money, because even if they have a lower royalty percentage, but it's in more hands, it still could equate to more funds. So just keep that in mind. You're gonna have to split money with a publishing company too. And I know there's probably some negotiations that have to happen there, but I like that I get to keep my higher royalties. But again, I don't have a team behind me helping me, so I need all the royalties I can get. Also, a con would be limited control. Not saying they handcuff you and you can't make any decisions, but I've researched that they might have some rights to your book, or the covers. Like, I get to choose everything I want on my cover. I email my cover artist a bunch when we're collaborating on a cover and say, I want this, I don't like this, which I'm not sure if that flexibility and freedom and control is there going to the traditional route. That'd be interesting to learn about, because I am a huge cover person. Even though the golden rule is don't judge a book by its cover, I know that happens. And I think it's also one of the most fun parts of the process. So I'm a huge cover person. If anyone took away my control during that, I'd be very sad. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about which route to go on. But you also might not care about covers, or just know that somebody else would do a cover way better than you. And this might not be that big of a con. So the last con I will say for this route is, I'm pretty sure you can be dropped or just not re-signed if your sales are low, which that is a lot of pressure to me. If I do not feel like marketing today, or my sales are very low, I kind of just regroup and think to myself, okay, what strategy can I do this time? Or if I was with a publishing company and they're emailing me and saying you will get dropped, or we will not re-sign you if you do not hit this many sales, I'd be very scared and nervous and feel a lot of pressure, especially because I'm an author on the side. I have a full-time job. So that might not work out for me. And their timelines too. I could produce one book a year, and I could produce 5 if I could. I wish I could produce 5. I couldn't. But maybe a publishing company might slow you down if they can only handle 1 book from you a year, and you are a crazy amazing writer and can write a book in a week. Maybe a traditionally publishing company would slow you down because they can only produce, or willing to produce, 1 book for you a year. So pros, cons to both. There's a self-published route, traditional published route. And as promised, I told you guys I would answer the question of would I ever go traditionally published? Big question. Right now, I would have to say no, just because I love my full-time job right now. I love the people I work with. I would never see myself giving that up. And I would hate someone breathing down my neck, pressuring me to produce a book when I write for fun. I don't write for recognition or money or status. I just write because it's a release for me and it's really fun. And I've noticed a lot of other people want to write books as well. So I just make YouTube videos to help encourage them, because I think it's super fun to put your imagination on paper. So I just really encourage it. So as of now, I would not go traditionally published, just because writing is just a fun hobby for me, and I would like to keep it that way for as long as possible. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with me through this video. I hope I've helped answer any questions you had about whether you want to go traditionally published or self-published. But if I haven't, feel free to comment on this video, and I will try to do some research if I don't know the answer right away. And I also can make a follow-up video if I get enough of the same comment. So again, if I didn't answer anything in this video, feel free to comment and I will get to it, because I'm self-published and I look at all my comments. But thank you guys for joining me. If you like what's going on here, please like, comment, subscribe. And as I mentioned 50 times in this video, I'm a self-published author. I'll put my website in my description. Every order truly does mean the world, because I put my all into these books. So if you do order a copy from my website, thank you. Thank you so much. It truly does mean the world. And if you're a reader and you want to send me your book, so that we can be on the same page too, because this is also for readers, I have a P.O. box in my description. Send me your favorite book and I'll check it out. And if you're a self-published author, or just maybe a small traditional author and you're trying to get your books out there, you can also send your book to my P.O. box, because in future videos, I want to share your book at the end of some videos so that I can give back to the book community, because they've done so much for me. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope this video helped you. So join me for future ones, and I'm so glad that you're on my journey and that I'm on your journey. So happy reading, and I'll see you next time.